I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Binacle. Barnacles, and the similar but not closely related limpets, are about the closest thing in real life to rock-type Pokemon. Incredibly strong shells, attaching themselves immovably to ships, whales, and rock pools, it's sometimes hard to tell if they're living beings or geological features. While limpets appear entirely motionless from outside their shells, using teeth of iron to scrape nutrients from the rocks they attach to, barnacles do display some outward signs of life, reaching into the water with tiny hands to grab the plankton on which they feed. Binacle is a rock and water-type Pokemon with two claw-like heads emerging from one shared rock, each with a tiny, grumpy face curled up in the palm. Pokemon X tells us, two Binacle live together on one rock. When they fight, one of them will move to a different rock. Interestingly, in-game we only ever see two heads coexisting, but the Pokédex continually refers to the individual heads as Binacle, and describes complex relationship dynamics. Pokemon Sword says, after two Binacle find a suitably sized rock, they endear themselves to it, and live together. They cooperate to gather food during high tide. And Pokemon Shield says, if the two don't work well together, both their offense and defense fall apart. Without good teamwork, they won't survive. Binacle specifically seems to draw inspiration from goose barnacles, also known as stalked barnacles or claw barnacles, thanks to the extending neck and subsequent range of motion. Pokemon Y tells us, they stretch and then contract, yanking their rocks along with them in bold hops. They eat seaweed that washes up on the shoreline. The Japanese name for the Pokemon, Kametete, is very similar to Kamenote, the Japanese name for the goose barnacle. It also contains an additional pun, as te is Japanese for hand, while tete is French for head. The English name, Binacle, is of course referring to a binary barnacle, but also sounds similar to Binacle, a device on a powered ship which uses two weighted sides to help the helmsman steer. Several more Binacle join the collective when, at level 39, it evolves into Barbaracle. Worming their way through a pair of rocks, 7 Binacle form a humanoid form with 4 arms, 2 legs, and 1 being allowed to continue operating as the head. Pokemon X tells us, when they evolve, 2 Binacle multiply into 7. They fight with the power of 7 Binacle. And Pokemon Y tells us, Barbaracle's legs and hands have minds of their own, and they will move independently, but they usually follow the head's orders. Gooseneck barnacles do combine a claw and a head into one unit, and of course Binacle's Japanese name was all about the te and tete pun. But there is another potential inspiration for the hand with an eye in it, the hamsa. Known by many different names, this spiritual symbol is almost as old as the origin of civilization itself, and has been incorporated in big or small ways into all the major religions, as a way to ward off the evil eye. Pokemon Shield tells us, having an eye on each palm allows it to keep watch in all directions. In a pinch, its limbs start to act on their own to ensure the enemy's defeat. Barbaracle is a barbarian Binacle, and it has some potential for a berserker rage, It relies a little too much on gimmicks to be viable in competitive leagues, but, particularly after a little setup and using the move Shell Smash to trade defense for more speed, it can sweep through an opposing team. Binacle may be based on a multilingual set of puns, a misunderstood creature, and an ancient spiritual symbol, but somehow to many fans it's just one of the ugly late generation monsters. A real shame, as this is the creature creators firing on all cylinders. Music for Luke Loves Pokemon is by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. If you enjoy the podcast, find out about my other shows at podcastiopodcastias.org. Get in touch on Blue Sky at podcastpodcast, or support the show at patreon.com/podcastiopodcastias. I love hearing from listeners. Up next are Skrelp and Clauncher, so hit me up about those or any other Pokemon. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Binacle, and remember, I love you too.